Welcome to DLD College London. This is a webinar about the benefits and brilliance of boarding with our Director of Boarding, Shirley Mitchell. And I will host a Q&A at the end for anybody who wishes to ask any questions. But with no further ado, I'll hand over to Shirley.
Thanks, Rachel. Hello, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. As Rachel said, my name's Shirley. I'm the Director of Boarding here at DLD College London. I've worked in education for over 20 years now. My youngest child was at boarding school during high school. I unfortunately wasn't at boarding school, though I did beg my parents to send me. So I'm living my dream through teaching. But I think boarding has probably changed considerably since my childhood in the 80s, which brings me nicely to our first slide. So, traditional versus modern. When people think about boarding school, a lot of the time, what comes to their mind is the traditional Hogwarts-style boarding school, sweeping lands, British countryside. And whilst there are many of those still in operation today, they are still very popular. What's becoming more popular is the concept of modern and urban boarding, which is undoubtedly on the rise. We are, as you probably know, based right in the heart of London, so it doesn't get very much more urban than that. And we look to our surroundings, and that influences everything that we do. So our location provides us with our greatest opportunities. But why would you choose boarding for your child? Or if you're a student, why would you choose boarding with us? One of the greatest opportunities that our boarders have is the chance to develop their social skills and their life skills. So if you are living at home, you have your family environment and your friendship environment. And then if you go out and do things, you learn all of those different things, all of those new skills. At boarding school, this is a way of life. It is always around you. It's always happening. So we currently have 217 students across 15 floors of purpose-built accommodation, with students ranging from 14 to 20 of both genders. So our students are housed in single gender floors and also on floors with students of similar ages. And that encourages students to make friends with people from similar lessons that they might have, with similar interests, that kind of thing, and as well as the natural social relationships that will develop organically. Because we have them all together under our roof, we're able to facilitate opportunities for those less confident students who might shy away from the social aspects. The house parent team here at DLD, every student is assigned a house parent, so that house parent will be monitoring that student and making sure that their welfare is okay, that they are settling in, that they are making friends, and that they are thriving. So we do this through personal interests, through culture, through common goals, charities, expeditions. And on the screen now, there are just a few sort of different activities there. We have a group of students celebrating No Roofs in our atrium. We have the Duke of Edinburgh expedition. Heart of London, we had a fabulous Jubilee celebration. We did charity walks all around Buckingham Palace. We've been present wrapping for a fabulous charity called Post Pals, which supports terminally ill children. Camping out in the Duke of Edinburgh, prom. So these are things that in day students' lives, this is maybe a once every month, once every few weeks opportunity. Here at boarding, it's a daily way of life. But why is that important? Okay, a little bit of science. So students come to us at a very influential developmental stage. So our younger students, our year 9s and our upper school, at the time that they come to us, between 13, 15, 16, they're experiencing brain size and function increase. So their brains are growing. The pituitary gland starts to secrete different hormones into the bloodstream, which is the cause of that age-old story of one day you kiss your beautiful, sweet child goodnight and they are angelic, and they wake up the next day and suddenly they are a monster. And that hormonal stage, that thing that's happening to them, that's what's responsible for that. So they are around adults constantly who fully understand and are fully qualified to deal with this and know what they're going through. They have their peers around them who are also experiencing the same thing. I don't know how many times teenagers feel like they're alone very much in a situation and environment like this. It's very difficult to feel alone. So that's the good thing. They look around and they see that everyone is experiencing the same thing, and it makes it a lot easier for them. Our older students, our sixth formers, are going through their second brain growth spurt, and their final adult growth weight isn't achieved until their late teens. So again, they are their most developmental stage of brain function. By the age of 18, the brain has reduced its weak connections and neurons, and it means the number of synapses are reduced from 1,000 trillion to 500 trillion. It works on a use it or lose it basis. So the more a habit is practiced, the more it becomes a strong connection and the more they will keep it. If they do not use it, it disappears. So things like study habits. When we are helping them to develop their study habits and they think we're being terribly cruel because we're making them go to study in the evening and we're showing them that this is a really good thing to be practicing now, they practice that 4 days a week. So study for our younger students is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. By doing that every single day, that is creating a connection that will then live with them, that they will keep, that they will be able to practice. If they're not doing that and they're just pretending and they're in their bedroom or they go to their friend's house to do a bit of study and they're not practicing that, they will not retain that. And the same goes with ways of thinking. So things like empathy, things like compassion, all of those things, we are practicing them constantly in our teen years, and it's something that we actively put into process here at DLD. And therefore your students, our students, your children, they do leave us with that sense of compassion, with that sense of responsibility, with that sense of well-developed, holistic personality. So thinking back to modern and traditional, there are obviously some trade-offs. So how do we achieve those good habits, those healthy habits, what we want them to practice? Obviously, we don't have the rolling fields of a countryside location. However, we do have a very well-equipped gym on site with a swimming pool, which you can see here. These are the actual pictures that you're looking at. They're not sort of Google pictures. These are our facilities. So that's our swimming pool. Right at the very bottom there on the left-hand side, you'll see a different coloured door. That's actually a sauna through there. And the gym is very well equipped with weights, with all of the cardio machines, with a dance studio and a yoga studio, and it is monitored 24 hours a day. So the students are constantly monitored. Students under 16 must be accompanied by someone over 16. That can be a friend, but students under 16 are not allowed to use the gym unsupervised, purely for health and safety reasons. 3 minutes walk away from our school is beautiful Archbishop's Park, which has football pitches, which has tennis courts. It's where we hold our house football matches and our house netball matches. Our global kitchen is a very popular haunt for students to socialise, and they very much love our Grumpy Mule coffee shop. And we also have an outdoor multi-use gaming area, which is a mugger for short, which houses a floodlit basketball court. And we also have a well-being garden where during the warmer days, it's very, very busy out there. It's starting to turn a little bit chilly in London at the moment, so we have slightly more in the coffee shop than we do outside. So probably one of the biggest questions I get asked is accommodation. People want to know about our accommodation. What does it look like? So we have 3 different kinds of rooms here. On the left-hand side of your screen here, you will see a picture of a twin room. This partition down the middle is movable. So if the students decide they would like a little bit more privacy, they can actually move the partition across, and it does make a wall down the centre of the room. So they have a slightly smaller single room. The bathroom in the twin room is shared. What we normally find is privacy is not an issue, and the wall gets thrown back at the very beginning of term, and the students who've chosen to live in those twin rooms very much enjoy that sort of, more roommate situation. All of the other rooms have their own bathrooms, so students do not need to share bathrooms. And the most popular room, of which we have most, is the standard room, which you'll see here on the left-hand side. So it comes with plenty of storage. There's overbed storage, there's underbed storage, there's an enormous wardrobe, there's a desk and study area, and a large lockable window. The wardrobes also have space for a padlock if the students would like to keep things like passport, money, personal items in there. That's not a problem at all. And as I said before, every room has its own private bathroom unless you are in a twin. So the other room we have a limited number of premium rooms, and the main difference with those rooms is they are slightly bigger. That's pretty much it. So you still have the same overhead storage, the same underbed storage, the same desk area, the same lockable windows, same bathroom. So it's basically just for those people who like that little bit of extra space. But what about when they're not in their bedrooms? What do they do? So every evening we have an activity, a communal activity downstairs in our giant atrium, which becomes a huge common room for our students. These are a mixture of fun activities, serious activities, educational activities, outdoor, indoor. So for example, this week, or this month, our activities are IELTS is academic English. So for those of our students who feel like they need a little bit more practice with their academic English, maybe they've arrived and they're finding, oh, it's a little bit harder than I thought. On a Monday, we run an additional class in the evenings after dinner for those who would like a little bit of a personal extra tuition. On Tuesdays, we have house competitions in the atrium. The most popular by far is table tennis, but we also have badminton and chess, and those are very, very popular. It's all very friendly and healthy competition. They do take it very seriously, but it never gets too serious, so that's fine. On a Wednesday, something that we're very keen on doing is equipping our students with personal skills and life skills for when they leave us, when they leave their education here with us and move on. Because they are cooked for here with their 3 meals a day, and obviously with the ease of Uber Eats and Just Eat and Deliveroo, it's becoming less necessary to cook. So we're trying to inspire them to want to cook. We did think this was going to be quite a struggle, and in actual fact, it's turned out to be our most popular activity. So they all want to do this. So we've devised a programme of student meals for when they go to university. So they're starting off with really easy things like omelettes and cheese on toast, Welsh rarebit, that kind of thing. And then they will move on to, at the end of the course, they'll be doing one-pot dinners and things like that. So hopefully, by the time they leave us and go to university, they will be able to feed themselves without having to order takeaways all of the time. Thursdays, we have a knit and natter, which is exactly what it says. Everyone brings their knitting. We have quite a lot of students who enjoy knitting, crochet, that kind of thing. They all sit around on the sofas and they just talk, which is equally as important as things like the academic English. On a Friday, Tom, our basketball coach, makes use of our multi-use gaming area outside and takes the basketball team out there, and it started out as an 1.5 hour practice, and they're normally out there for about 4 hours until we have to drag them back in. On a Saturday, we always have a movie night on our giant screen in the atrium, and Amina, our assistant house parent, will bake with the students, and they use their cookies and whatever they've made, they eat that during the movie. On a Sunday, our head of wellbeing, Miles, is available for any student who would like to either just have a chat or raise some issues or raise any questions, or if a student has been referred by either their house parent or their tutor, Miles will have one-to-one appointments with them in the Wellbeing Centre on a Sunday evening. And then monthly, Michael does an art therapy session up in the boarding house. Emma runs a book club where we have a different book every month that we read. And our marketing assistant, Sally, runs a marketing workshop. We have a huge amount of students doing business and economics, and they felt that was something that was kind of lacking for them. So that's very well taken up as well. Probably the second biggest question I get asked is about the food. So here is a section of our food. We have a food committee, and what they do is they speak with all of the people in their house. They gather all of the feedback, they work with our catering staff to make sure that the boarders have a student voice in there and that they're being heard about what they do want, what they don't want, what they like, what they want more of. And the kitchen, really, the Global Kitchen tried to make a really multicultural menu to reflect our multicultural cohort. So boarders are provided with an ID card, and that's part of the cashless system that we operate. So every day the card is topped up with a daily allowance, and that allows them to purchase their breakfast, a 3-course lunch and a 3-course dinner. And they're able to top up their card with cash if they would like to make use of our coffee shop, the Grumpy Mule, if they wanted to buy extra coffees or pastries or something like that. We do occasionally have things put on by the kitchen, such as pop-up shops. So we had pop-up sushi recently. We have juice bars. They put on a beautiful traditional English tea for the Queen's Jubilee with marmalade sandwiches. So that was absolutely fantastic. And as I said, we have there our boarding committee, our food committee, sorry, who feedback constantly to the kitchen to ensure that actually the students are being heard. So boarding follows the whole schoolhouse system. So the school has 5 houses named after the five of the underground lines: District House, Jubilee House, Metropolitan House, Northern House, and Piccadilly House. And each one of those houses has a head of boarding and a deputy head of boarding. So each student, when they arrive, is put into a house and they will belong to that house throughout their time here at DLD. They will have a housemaster, a house parent and a tutor. And those 3 people will work together to speak about the child so that we have a good holistic view of what's happening in their lives, what's going on. So the boarding council provides opportunities for growth and leadership, and they meet with the students, as I said, in their house fortnightly, and then they come together as a council and they meet with myself once a month to feedback any concerns, propose any changes that they've heard, and generally tell me this is what they're moaning about this month, this is what they love this month. So that's a really helpful tool to communicate between the staff and the students. And it also looks really great on their boarding application, on their university applications, sorry. So that is our boarding council, and that's the opportunity for our slightly older students. For our younger students, we will be introducing this academic year the DLD Boarding Award. So this is accredited by the Boarding School Association, which is the body which monitors us here and it's all over Europe. Actually, there are schools all over the world in the Boarding School Association, and this is accredited by them. So it is recognised by universities. It is it's something that's good to have on there. It's developed to nurture the whole student in preparation for their leaving us at the end of their educational journey and being prepared for the world ahead, whatever that may look like. Obviously, we live in a constantly changing world. In education, we call it future proofing. We're trying to prepare them for a future and we're not quite sure what it looks like. So with that in mind, the programme has been developed with 3 strands. There's an inner circle, a middle circle and an outer circle. They start in the middle and then they work outwards. So when they arrive with us, our younger students, we focus on learning things about attitudes about the world, about knowing themselves, about managing their own feelings. As they get slightly older, they've been with us for a bit longer, they learn about learning from positive and negative experiences. Obviously, we hope the positive experiences very much outweigh the negative experiences, but those negative experiences are important for development and growth and for developing resilience, which they definitely need in the world today. The only way to do that is to have those negative experiences, and the team here will rally around them and help them to work through that and show them how to come out of the other side and really thrive from those experiences. They learn about life with others, which obviously they cannot get away from here. They live with 217 other people, so there are always others. It's about compromise. It's about community living. It's about having that sense of respect for each other. They develop independence and maturity. When they want to go out, sometimes they would like to stay out for an extra 15 minutes because the cinema doesn't finish until later. That's absolutely fine. If they don't come back within that 15-minute period, that privilege will then be taken away from them. They understand, they learn, they get to know that, okay, I need to work within these boundaries, I need to develop this independence, I need to be a bit more mature and understand that. Then our last strand is something that happens on the outside circle, becoming an independent adult in the world. This is when they're getting ready to leave us, becoming employable, innovative and creative thinking, learning to meet and set targets and responsibilities. This is the things that they learn when what we find is the younger students will take part in the organised activities. They will want to do the things that we've set out for them. It's very structured. By the time they reach the outer circle, what most students are doing is just popping down to the desk for a chat, maybe sitting in the atrium for a couple of hours and talking to a house parent or seeing what's been happening. They're a little bit more independent now. They know who they are, they're starting to find their place in the world. And then on the right-hand side there, colour coordinated, you will be able to see all of the different things that go into making up that boarding award. So it is a really useful skill and a useful tool to have, and it's just a way of also making sure that we're checking all of those personality boxes and making sure that we meet every need. So I've got some FAQs. These are the questions that I get asked the most when people are coming to visit boarding or when people are dropping off their students if they haven't had the opportunity to visit us before. So these are the things that I think maybe you're thinking about asking. So I want to address those ones first. So weekend leave, can the students leave? Yes, we do not keep them prisoner. However, we ask that the students sign out to an educational host or guardian who is over the age of 25. We have a boarding software platform called Reach. This monitors where the students are. So they will use their ID card to tap in and out of the college. When they're tapping out, they'll just press the button of which location they'll be at. It might be the South Bank, it might be Knightsbridge. They don't have to give us their GPS, but they do have to give us a rough idea of where they're going to be. Weekend leave, the request will come in on the boarding platform, only available to parents and guardians. So students cannot submit their own leave. You would need to do that for them. That is us taking your permission. That's a password protected system, so you will be the only person that has access to it. Once we have that, we ask who the person that they're going to be staying with is. We contact that person and ask them for a consent form to say that they are willing to take responsibility for the student. We ask for a proof of ID and a proof of address. Once we have those things, we make a phone call to follow up and just say, we have all of your documents. Are you happy for the student to come and stay with you? They say, yes, thank you. And off the student can go. That's absolutely fine. But we do ask that those things are in place for safety and legal compliance. Structure of the day is slightly different between students. So if a student is a CSA, which is a compulsory school age student, which means they were under 16 on the 1st of September. It doesn't matter if they turn 16 on the 10th of September. If they start the school year, the academic year on the 1st of September is under 16, they are a CSA for the rest of that year. They have slightly different curfews. So a CSA curfew is 9:30 every night. Non-CSAs, so 16 and above, is 10 o'clock. And then on a weekend, non-CSAs are 11 o'clock. Once a CSA turns 16, their house parent will have a conversation with parents or guardians and say, are you comfortable if we move their curfew to 10 o'clock? So there is the opportunity for them to extend their curfew, but that would only be done once the house parent has gotten to know the student, is comfortable that they are a responsible person and able to handle a 10 o'clock curfew, and after that conversation is had with you parents or guardians. Once everyone is in agreement, we will then allow them to go out until 10 o'clock. The other difference between CSAs and non-CSAs is going out alone. So non-CSAs, 16 above, can leave the building alone. Anyone who is a CSA, they must leave the building in a 3. So we ask them to go out in a 3 for safety, and we ask them to come back in that same 3, so we know they've stayed together. Again, once someone turns 16, we are very happy to have conversations with parents and say, are you happy for them to go out alone? Sometimes parents say, I'd rather they went in a 2. We will happily facilitate that. We always take our cue from you and what you're most comfortable with, and then we will facilitate that. Laundry. We have 2 separate systems for laundry. So all student bedding is sent out and washed and returned. So that's something that we do as a school. That's completely separate. Clothes. Students have the ability to sign up for our laundry service, and they have a laundry bag, and once a week they have a laundry day, and they put all of their clothes in their bag, they bring it downstairs, the laundry is collected, it's taken away and laundered by an external company, and then it's brought back the next night for them. So they can have their washing done for them if they wish. We also have washing machines on site. So if either they don't want to sign up to the laundry system or you don't want to sign them up to the laundry system, they can use the laundry machines downstairs, and there are washing machines and tumble dryers, so they can do their own laundry. Their rooms are cleaned once a week by the cleaners, and I am very explicit when I let them know they are cleaners, not tidiers. So the housekeeping staff will not tidy their bedrooms. They will clean their bedrooms, they will hoover, they will mop, they will clean the bathrooms, they'll put a new toilet roll in there every week. But if the room is a mess, they will not tidy the room. That's the student's responsibility, and they are asked in their weekly room visits, if their room is not tidy, they are given a chance to tidy it again. And if it's not done, they are gated. It really only normally takes once, and then they tend to keep it quite tidy. Trips. So we do run a variety of trips throughout the year. We have theatre trips, we have cinema trips, we have paintballing, we have go-karting, we have cat cafes, we have the football at Wembley. If you can think of it, we do it. So they are optional, they're not compulsory. So students are able to sign up, they're able to go on the trips if they want to. Some pupils prefer to just go out and do their own thing on a weekend. They want to go to the show by themselves, not during a huge trip. Some students want to spend the weekend studying. That's absolutely fine, but the trips are there. If they want to do them, they are on. Wellbeing and boarding, very important to us. So we have quite a structured wellbeing system in boarding. So the first point of call is the house parents. They will have a weekly room visit with their house parent. So whoever's house they're assigned to, that house parent will have the same evening every week where they will go around to every student in their house, knock on their door, do a welfare check, make sure they're okay, chat to them about their week, talk to them about any issues that have been raised with the academic team, talk about whether their room's tidy or not, and just check and see if they're okay. 9 times out of 10, everything is absolutely fine. Off they go to the next room. If a student is having some problems and they tell their house parent they're having problems, or if the house parent seems to think that they're having problems, they can then make a referral to the wellbeing drop-in on a Sunday, which is with our head of wellbeing. That's normally enough to sort everything out. If not, we do have a cognitive behavioural therapist on staff who lives in boarding, and that can be accessed as well. So we have quite a comprehensive system. Our matron also lives on site, which means, and she does a drop-in centre on a Wednesday. So if they have non-medical issues that have been bothering them through the week, they will often talk to our matron on a Wednesday. They're also able to go to the matron every day between 8 o'clock and 8:30. If they wish to be signed out of lessons, if they're not well in the morning, they have access to the matron before they even have to set foot out of the boarding house. And she can either give them medication, sign them off, or she might determine that actually, I think maybe you're just a bit tired, I think you're okay to go to school. In every circumstance, the matron will preferably, if it's at all possible, encourage the student to go into lessons. Because what we find most time is by the time they get there, they feel an awful lot better than if they spend all day in their bedroom, which doesn't tend to be a great thing for them to do. Emergency, I've just gone back too far, sorry, let me just come back. Emergency care. Okay, there is a house parent telephone number which is available 24 hours a day. Every student, when they arrive, is asked to put the house parent telephone number in their phone, so we know we have it. We know that a lot of students have international SIM cards, and so telephone calls are a bit difficult. So we do have a WhatsApp that they can call, which only requires the internet, which we have in the boarding house, so everybody is able to access that, or they can contact people on Teams. They also have the work telephone number of their own house parent and every other house parent. So at any point of the day or night, we are accessible to them 24 hours a day. They call us, we are there. Holidays, can they stay during the holidays? Yes and no. The school closes during the Christmas holiday and the summer holiday. Every other holiday we remain open, and the boarding house is open to all students. So that's the October 2 week, that's the February 1 week, it's the Easter almost 3 week, and it's the May half term as well. We are open all of those holidays, and students are very welcome to stay here with us. We still run the same thing, and the meals are still the same, laundry is still the same, we still have the matron here, well-being is still the same, everything is here for them, it's all still accessible to them. A big one, friendship struggles. Lots of parents wonder, oh, what if they can't make friends? What if they're lonely? What if they're sitting in their room all the time? It's not going to happen. And I know that sounds like it's something very easy to say, but like I said before, it's almost impossible to be lonely here. Students will go out and make their own relationships. Because they have such regular contact with all of their boarding team and their own house parent, that will be identified very quickly if we feel like a student hasn't found their group yet, and we will then facilitate that. So we will then bring them into activities that we think they would like. We will then manipulate situations to have students together where they'll start talking. We will ask them if they would like to go for a position of responsibility, perhaps the food council, so that they're able to meet other people. We will make sure that they are not struggling, that is fine. Equally, if there are fallings out, they are teenagers, it is inevitable. We are there to facilitate that and to work through that with them. So what happens on a weekend? So during the week, everybody has to get up and be at registration for 8:45. On a weekend, they don't have to come down and register until 12 o'clock. Most students are up and down and registered with us by 10 o'clock. Some of the older ones do like to have a little bit of a lie-in, and they will wait until the 12 o'clock time to register. That's fine. But we do ask them to register on a Saturday and a Sunday so that we make sure we've seen them, so we know they're okay, so we can just have that face-to-face with them. Through the weekend, there will be activities on offer. There will be the baking and the movie nights. The atrium will be set up with badminton, with the PlayStation, which is very popular, with the table tennis. They're able to use the outdoor facilities. And a lot of students use this time to go out and visit the museums, the galleries, which obviously in London are all free. They very much make use of all of those things. And we have London South Bank on our doorstep, which is, you know, jam-packed full of opportunities for them. So that's also amazing. And finally, security. The building is manned 24 hours a day with security. So you must have an ID card or an access fob, which our boarding students have, to enter the building. So you cannot enter the building unless you have this identification or unless you are physically let in by the security team. So it's one of the most secure places that you can be. Again, once they're out and doing whatever they want to, if they feel at any point unsafe, if they feel at any point worried, they can call us. We have several members on staff on duty at any one time. We have staff that go out and get people who might have gotten themselves a little bit lost. And we're always willing to and happy to just go out and find them and bring them back and give them a map and maybe take them with us the next time. So yeah, that's all of the the frequently asked questions that I get. So I think, Rachel, have you got any other questions?
Thank you so much, Shirley. That was really comprehensive, and I hope it's given everybody a really good overview, but also insight into the level of provision that we offer at DLD College London for our boarding students, the facilities that are available, but also the supportive pastoral care that's available to them. So a couple of questions before during registration that I'll go over, but if anybody does have a question that they'd like to ask Shirley now, please just use the Q&A function or the chat function on the Zoom webinar, and I'll ask those for you. So Shirley, somebody asked, how do we make sure that our students focus on their studies whilst they're living in the heart of London?
It's a really good question. It's all about balance. And again, that's one of those, the issues that I was talking about with brain development, about forming good habits, which is why we put things like the study period in place. So they have their academic time every single day. They have their study time every evening. And then we actually actively encourage them to go out and see what London has to offer them. There are a huge amount of educational experiences on offer in London. When they're visiting the galleries, when they're visiting the museums, when they're going to the West End shows, that kind of thing, these are all educational experiences. So by putting in place the boundaries of the curfew times for the younger students versus the older students, by having that directed study time, by having the optional guided study during the evenings with the academic English, things like that, it's really about forming those healthy habits and that brain development. So we haven't found, so far, touch wood, we haven't found it to be an issue. They tend to embrace London for all of the educational opportunities that it has, rather than allowing it to distract them. It sort of, it enriches that experience and becomes part of the experience for them.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And just not being involved with boarding, but observing, I see the students going in and out and how excited they are to be going out and coming back and discussing with the house parents where they've been and what they've been doing. So yeah, it's great that they have so much on their doorstep, and that they are able to access so much in this vibrant world city. Another question that came in was specifically about provision for our younger boarders. I know that you've talked a lot about their study, etc., and the fact that we have what we call CSAs, which is for the 16 years old and younger who are studying up to GCSE. But obviously, you know, a child coming overseas for that age, it is a worry for parents. So I wonder whether you could just specifically let us know what the provision is for those younger boarders, please.
Sure, it is. You're absolutely right. They do need slightly more. They're not at that independent stage yet, as such as our 18, 19-year-olds are. So we do have a slightly more structured routine for them, in as much as we have the earlier curfew, so they have to register earlier. They don't actually have to go upstairs to their bedrooms any earlier, which means there is a longer period in the evening where they are with the house parents. That allows us to communicate with them more, interact with them more, identify any potential issues more. Because we're able to talk to them all, we ask them what they'd like to do. There is, you know, we can put on 100 trips, but if no one wants to go on them, it's a bit pointless. So they let us know the kind of things they would like to do. And we make sure that they have structured activities on a Saturday. There's always an optional activity on a Saturday for them to do. Because they can't go out in groups of less than 3, what we ask them to do is, if they're going possibly maybe sort of half a mile away, a bit longer, we'll ask them to put on their, share their live location on their telephone. So we're able to just keep an eye on where they are. And then when they're on their way back, they'll give us a call and we can basically follow them on our phone and make sure that they're home and they're safe and they're okay. Mm. Also, the evening activity take up is mostly done by our younger students because they're not ready to go out there on their own yet. They're not ready to do things like that. So things like the house competitions, The younger ones are, you know, when they just arrive, they're forging their friendships. They get very excited about the house competitions. It carries through into the daytime, into their academic life. So it's also, you know, that buy-in, that investment. And what we're hoping to do, and one of the things that, you know, one of the reasons we've introduced the boarding award is because this will really help us to structure how we respond to them and how we provide for them from that very first step, that inner circle, those younger students. So that's a really exciting thing that's coming in September as well.
Fabulous. And I know there's a talent competition coming this Friday evening.
That's right, DLD's Got Talent.
Yes, great excitement in the school about that one. So a live question that's just come in, thank you very much, is do staff sit with students during meal times?
Yes, we do. So we all live with the students. So the whole boarding team live in the boarding house in our own separate flats in our accommodation on the same floors, but obviously separate accommodation. And when I say we live together, I mean it in the most holistic sense of the word. We do our laundry, you know, in the same laundry room. We eat in the same place. You know, we're in the same supermarkets. We bump into each other around the corner. You know, we're using the same lifts to come down in the morning, all looking quite bleary-eyed sometimes. We live together in the truest sense of the word. So meal times are a great time to sort of, you know, sit around in the global kitchen and catch up and have fun. And it's a really nice, relaxed, informal time of the evening. We obviously, the day students are here during the day as well. In the evening, it empties out and it's just the staff and the boarders. So it's a really nice opportunity to have those smaller conversations.
Thank you very much, Shirley. I wonder whether anybody else has a final question before we finish. If you do, type it in now, but I just wanted to mention about the day students and the fact that with our house system, it actually is very difficult to tell who's a day student and who's a boarding student. With their registration with their tutor groups, mixed between day and boarding, the houses that they're part of with our house competition system means that they're all integrated, and also obviously in lessons they're integrated with the day students, and so there's a great camaraderie between the day and the boarding students. So certainly for somebody who doesn't work in boarding, it's difficult for me to know who's who. Shirley obviously knows them all, but yeah. So there don't appear to be any more live questions coming in. So thank you so much, Shirley. Very grateful for your time. Obviously very, very grateful for everybody who's joined us this morning in London. I do wish everybody well for the rest of their days. We will send the recording to you, and if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask us. We're here and available, and Shirley can expand on anything more that if you wish to know some more, and come and visit us. It would be great to see you in DLD College London to find out more. So thank you very much, and we'll see you hopefully again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.